Hello, thanks for joining us for episode 19 of Keeping It Real with TNL. I'm Coach Ty here with Coach Lori, and today we have a special guest, Gina, the owner of Loosen Up Bodywork. Welcome, Gina. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, I'm really excited to have you. We met through a mutual friend, Mike. And I remember you came to the other side of the gym and we were talking, and I'm like, your story's incredible. And then I had the pleasure of going to your location here down the street. It's in Danville, but it's like 5 minutes from our gym. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is this wizardry that is happening? This was my body felt amazing. And I knew the whole world had to hear about you and your story, what brought you to this point, and Loosen Up Bodywork.
Well, it was a mutual feeling when I first came here to meet you guys too. I could tell. I thought these guys are birds of a feather. You guys are just as excited about health as I am, and it oozes out of you. You know, when you're that excited to share what you've learned through your own journey with everyone that you meet, and it makes such a big difference in people's lives, and it's awesome.
It really does.
I love that. I love that. Well, Gina, I guess we're just gonna kind of dive right on in. We would rather use all our time to get to know as much as we can about you and what you're willing to share. So I'm going to open it up. So Gina, tell us about your childhood. I was told that you weren't able to play sports or do a lot of things that other kids were able to do until the age of, I believe, 11.
Yeah. So I was kind of sharing a bit of my story with Lori when I first came in about I grew up with epilepsy that had started from an allergic reaction to penicillin when I was a baby. My heart stopped, my lungs stopped immediately. Went into respiratory failure. We lived far away from a hospital, so I went without oxygen for a really long time. And that had caused a lesion on the side of my brain that caused me to have seizures ever since. And growing up, I was on heavy medications my whole life. So like 1,400 milligrams of barbiturates every day. Still not really controlled well. Once I hit like puberty, I would have about 14 seizures a day.
Oh my God.
So I couldn't go to school, and then they're trying to give you different medications to try to control it, but your internal chemistry is just like this, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a moving target. And so eventually they started doing a little research to find out if I was eligible for surgery to correct it. After a year of doing research and figuring out where exactly my seizures were coming from and being able to isolate it, they did brain surgery when I was 14. And that ever since I haven't had seizures. So it was very much like I was kind of freed of this burden, you know?
Yeah. And I'm like covering the chills. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, so of course there's a script, but there's still a lot to kind of unpack here. I'm not going to slow us down too much, but how did you deal with that as a child? I'm not trying to make you kind of.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm totally comfortable talking about it because it was such a success story, and I'm really passionate, obviously, about helping people understand that when you're told that you are always going to be a certain way, that you are going to struggle with this health condition your entire life, that's not always the final answer. There's always options out there, whether it's just learning how to do what you can, or whether it eventually leads you to how lucky I was and being able to correct the thing entirely, right? So just remaining curious and uncovering those answers is just so important to me. So I'm always happy to talk about it. But I was home. I wasn't doing well in school because I couldn't attend. And, so it really did impact me. I was told I was never going to have kids. I was told I was never going to drive a car. I couldn't swim by myself, things like that, because they just were, if I went into a seizure, it could be really detrimental. And so I was very, very limited. And then at 14, when they did the brain surgery, I stopped taking medication shortly afterwards and was fine. I hadn't had any seizures ever after. So
just like that.
Yeah, just like that. It was like the light switch was turned on and didn't have any problems afterwards.
So this is kind of a random one, but obviously, as you said, you were always home. You weren't really getting out there and kind of being involved. Was it tough at 14 to have to kind of re-enter the normal life of making friends or being out in groups and all those kind of things that you probably didn't do? Like, how was that transition for you?
It's an interesting time of life. I say it's like being let off your leash. you know.
Literally, it's like that for you.
And so, when you're that freshman in high school and just you want to try everything, and that was really how I took it. It was like everyone's always told me I can't do this. I'm going to do whatever I can, and so tried whatever I could. I ended up getting really into skateboarding, and rock climbing were my favorite sports. Love doing those. Skateboard was my favorite mode of transportation. I grew up in Southern California, so it worked well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so those were my two hobbies, but it's interesting. I'm sure you guys could appreciate not having grown up athletic and moving.
Yeah,
Made me very accident prone. I joke about how my nickname was Crash because I was always injured. But I was just willing to try anything and didn't really have that foundation. So I really had to build that,
Cool. So yeah, I almost cut off some of Lori's questions. She was going to be
oh, it's all good. This is great.
adult stuff.
Yeah,
I was going to let you kind of dive in about the whole afterlife. That was on me. I'm sorry about that.
yeah, no, that's perfect because it's just a free flowing conversation. I love how this is working. So first of all, as a mom, I can't imagine my baby almost dying from penicillin. They hand that out, the peak bubble gum. If you've ever had your mom's still on penicillin, like that's a dime a dozen in the realm of medicine for children. So, that never stops stopping my heart when I hear that. And then I think of like how awkward it already is as a teenager in puberty, and then you're still living in this world of I can't. And we talk about that. Like we talk about people, there are naysayers that hold you down because for whatever reason, and then there's doctors that don't know what's out there, and there's doctors that do, and your family's perseverance to just keep looking for an answer is this story will like keep me on cloud nine with all the hope in the world for people for probably the rest of the month. Like I love this, and as much as I don't love that your nickname is Crash because you did everything, but like who wouldn't? Like, could you imagine if I don't know. I can't even think of a good analogy, but let's just say like I've never had a cup of coffee because someone told me caffeine would kill me. And then I get my first sip and I live. And then I'm going to go to Columbia now to try coffee. Like, I'm going to go all over the world and try Rice coffee because I can, right? And it's just so like you're like carpe diem with everything now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of the thing, right? And the idea that condition would progress over years and, you would just never have this life that you see outside of it. And then all of a sudden it's like handed to you on a silver platter of like, nope, not a problem anymore. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
So, and that's really inspired me with some of the, stuff that we do at Loosen Up Bodywork too. It's just that I definitely carried it into the, being Crash. I had now orthopedic stuff that I had to overcome to be able to keep moving. And I just, as a massage therapist, we see this all the time. I'm told I can't do this. If it hurts to do that, just don't do it. Right. And just don't do it is not something I subscribe to in the slightest. So yeah, it's just all about finding a way to make it possible and to make things accessible for whatever people want to get into, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So you're like this beacon of hope for everyone that comes into Loosen Up Bodywork too, because we joke about this. People come in, they're like, I like to run, but my knee hurts, so my doctor said to stop running. So I'm going to try CrossFit. Like, but why does it hurt to run? What's like? No one ever gets to the issue at hand, and generally their knee is structurally sound. It's tightness and imbalance. As we'll let you get into all that, but like, how has you having to figure out a way to overcome this like sentence for how life was to get into the life that you could have, and then work through all the different injuries and hurt. Like it was almost like this big barrier is gone, but it's a reminder that there's always little things that we need to overcome along the way, right? It wasn't like here you can go do everything and everything's going to be perfect. So walk us through like the education of things, what you ended up going through, like the holistic side of things, and how it led to creating this phenomenal business that serves so many people.
Yeah. So the first was shoulder injuries and, broken ankles and all these things that just really slowed me down. And I wanted to find a way through that. So I had had to go through a lot of physical therapy as a teenager, having those sorts of experiences, and thought, wow, this is such a great gig. People are like MacGyver in their office, just duct taping things together with like a stick. And, now here's this great tool that you can use to heal yourself, right? I just thought that was the coolest thing. And graduating high school, thought I was going to use massage therapy to get me into physical therapy school and to be able to work while I was doing my education. Well, I had gotten to massage school, and we work on each other in class, right? And from the work I was receiving in class, all of a sudden I was getting relief that I hadn't gotten from physical therapy. And it was that moment of exactly, aha, right? that this this is something that physical therapists aren't doing. And why is that? And I had learned that there wasn't a lot of research in massage therapy. It's kind of hard to do a controlled study where you have a placebo with a hands-on technique, right? So, and there just wasn't a lot of funding behind it. And it's expensive to pay somebody to sit there and do a manual technique versus being able to give an exercise plan or do electric stim or ultrasound or some of the other things that they do in PT. And I just thought, this is silly. There's a solution out there and people aren't getting access to it. So I'm just going to shout from the rooftops about what massage therapy is capable of and make sure people know that that answer is out there. And that's really where that started. And I practically moved into the school that I was going to. I took a job as an office manager there. I was there 40 hours a week and was in school 20 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
And practicing, and just, I fell in love with it right off the bat. And that's kind of, I moved right into massage and never left. So, yeah.
Obviously love that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's obviously very hard for someone to have one of those moments where you kind of realize, I know for sure this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to lock them in, because that is where mastery is able to get developed. Once you're actually saying, this I will do and nothing else. That's when you truly probably begin to blossom. Now, that said, it is very different, obviously, going from, doing that to now having your own company and running that. So let's kind of talk about how you made the choice to start your own business, and then some of the details of what is how you pick therapists that kind of have your mindset is more, because that's obviously tough when you have a passion. It's hard to usually find people who have an equal passion. A lot of people are still seeking money as opposed to giving service.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to kind of find that too. How do you do that, and how do you run your business, and what's your mission?
Yeah, well, we were very lucky. It was a very organic process for us building the practice. I was teaching massage therapy right around 2008, 2009. I had another injury where I was actually in a wheelchair for about a year without
My goodness.
I broke my collarbone, my foot, and my rotator cuff all at the same time. It was crazy.
If you don't mind me asking.
This one was wakeboarding, was how I did the rotator cuff. And then the collarbone and the foot, someone ran a red light, hit me in my car 2 weeks later. So I had all this going on. It was crazy. So I built my practice up to a certain point, but then obviously I had a year of just rehab and getting myself put back together. And I took a job as a teacher for a massage school up in Fairfield right after I was getting back into work. I just wasn't confident that I was going to be able to maintain a full practice load, and thought, well, I'm just going to teach. Well, then now I'm in the classroom, and I had a practice room too, a treatment room that I sublet, and I had more clients than I could handle. So I started bringing in my students. And just saying, like, they were looking for work. I knew I couldn't maintain the clients that I had, and I was going to be in the classroom no matter what. So might as well bring in a student. And so that is how it really developed.
Wow.
And I think being an instructor really allowed me that opportunity to know what a person who's really passionate about helping people looks like, and somebody who's dedicated and shows up on time and, is reliable and responsible. So that got me some great people right off the bat. So I was really lucky that I got some really great team members early on, and they're still with us. They've been with us over 10 years. And since then, that's been it. I just, like attracts like,
Yeah, but still, like, okay, so, but that is a very, very cool, because that's a very rare situation where the quote unquote boss gets to be on the factory floor watching the people being molded and be like, okay, that's someone who's really good. That's someone who I'm like, I'll probably pass on that person. Because you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that. You not only get to see their skill and level and their genuine enthusiasm, but you also get to learn their habits. Like obviously, like when we come into contact with coaches, everybody is, in the interview, of course, this is what I love. And then when you actually get to see them for like 4 weeks, then you get to see the true version, if they are who they claim to be, or if there's someone who isn't quite as much. Like I was kind of joking. That would be like if me and you were out doing seminars and got to pick our coaches from that pile after like watching it for 2 days. Like, that'd be a solid one. We're gonna bring it. Yeah. So that is cool. How that kind of happened that way.
Yeah, it definitely helped. But then, growing pains, we grew quickly. And then once I had my son, who's 11 now, being a parent, running a business and teaching, something had to give. That's all of them are very time consuming, and, you can only do so much.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
So I put the teaching hat on the back burner for a while, and we really expanded quickly. We opened the second location in 2019 and had 18 employees, and that was, we brought a lot of people in. So we have had some of those hiccups where you have somebody that says they're going to show up and then doesn't. But I think being a teacher really taught me how to hold people accountable, and just really, here's your boxes you need to check, and if you're not checking them, it's not going to work, right? And so we hold our team very accountable to their clients and to the practice. And we really do understand that it takes a lot of energy and effort and just showing up in every way to build that clientele that really supports you. So
absolutely. And as you said, it is very, very different when you're in a business that actually it requires human service. It's not a product. It's not this is a factory line where this pops out at the end. Like you actually have to give genuine effort with every client, because that takes a very special person. So it's just the fact that you were able to find a group of people who were able to do that to help you grow. That's huge. Can I ask something else just quickly?
Yeah.
So you were obviously, you love the whole entire aspect of doing the massages. Did you find it a tough transition into becoming a business owner? And because obviously that takes a different level.
So
this is something that me and Lori talk about, because being a great coach is not the same as running an actual business. So how was that kind of bell curve and like learning that? How'd it go?
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of a learning curve, and luckily it started out really small. I literally had a room, and if I wasn't in my room, somebody else was in it, right? Yeah. So it was just one or two people. And then when I expanded, I was so nervous about that precise thing. Like, I don't know how to be an owner, how to be a manager. I've never been a manager even, so that was next level. I knew it was a skill set I didn't have yet. But being in the area for a long time, I had some great mentors. I had some people that that are business coaches that I signed up with right away. And they were really funny. They said, usually people don't sign up for business coaching until they're in debt and their business is about to fail, but you're doing it on the other end. And I said, well, I know what I don't know, and I'd rather get that exposure and some education in that. And they actually told me one of the best bits of advice was they had me find other business owners that I was inspired by.
Oh, okay.
And to interview them. And so I went through this interview process with several people. Some of them were clients, some people I just knew, some people I knew by reputation only, and I reached out to on LinkedIn. And yeah, I got some of the best advice from all of these people that I still use and share often. It's just great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All of that's amazing. It's very rare to obviously hear that, because you're right. Most people think that they're going to figure it out along the way, as opposed to you just acknowledging the elephant in the room, being like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Let me go and speak to someone who obviously does. And then obviously I never even thought about, obviously going up to people who you look up to. Like, I know that all of us kind of say that, but to actually go out and be like, hey, can I sit down? What you actually asked you about that? What was one of your biggest takeaways from that experience speaking to someone that you obviously thought were that they were doing a good job? Was there hold on, let me rephrase the question. Was there any common piece of info that all of them had shared? Or did ever or was there just one like big standout thing that you're like, that one stuck with me forever and it still hits me?
Yeah, there's two that were the biggest standouts. Now I think in hindsight I can see more consistencies between things, but the two that I really felt put things in perspective for me and helped me maintain my focus and that momentum was the person I came in with this piece of paper of like, here, so I have all these questions I'm gonna ask, right? And he goes, whoa, let me stop you right here. Let me just share a couple of things with you. And he told me, he goes, one, time is the great equalizer, right? So we all have the same amount of time. Right. It doesn't matter the resources you have. You could have all the money in the world. You could have, connections. You could have all of these things, but we all have the same amount of time and how you use it matters. So wherever you spend your time is what you're going to see manifest in your life. Right. So of course, we've all heard of like the life wheel and, the carving out like, here's what I want to see, here's what my goals are. So I'm going to dedicate this much time to this and this much time to that. And I took that to an extreme. I actually went into Excel and created a spreadsheet for myself. Like it was ridiculous. I was like, I'm going to make a pie chart, right? Like, here's how many hours I need to sleep. Here's how many I need to exercise. Here's I need to make and create food and all these things. And how much time do I actually have left? And how am I actually spending that time? And by the time you eliminate all those other things, I think I only had like 6 hours a week
Left to yourself?
left, after you take away all of those things. And then you realize like things are sort of layered. And actually that is the other piece of advice that I had got was there's no such thing as multitasking. Like multitasking, your efficiency drops more than half. Your ability to sustain and maintain stamina, like to be able to keep the energy to do it, is going to drop significantly because wearing two hats at one time drains your energy much faster than just wearing one at a time.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I stopped multitasking. I started layering. Like I can do a phone call and a walk with my dog.
Yeah.
Or I can have my family come with me and get some of that family time in while you're doing something else. Or like when I'm cooking, right? I love to cook with my family. That's my favorite hobby is cooking.
Ah.
So bring the family in and include them in that process to build up that time. So layering and that at the end of it, all of a sudden Netflix and chill, that's a big chunk of what time I have left. That's a big investment.
Absolutely, you're using it wise though. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Obviously, like you said, you're right. It's the same concept of one river is much stronger than a bunch of different streams going in different directions. And when you obviously learn how to focus your energy, and the other thing that I completely love is that you really seem to take what I like to call the Abraham Lincoln approach, where it's like when he was asked if you were to cut a tree, if you have like 6 hours to cut a tree, how would you do it? He said, I spend the first 2 hours just sharpening the axe, which is getting the preparation and just laying the groundwork. But like, look, I already know that this is what I want to do. I might as well just try to find a schedule that's going to fit and learn all the stuff now so that I could just spend all the good time cutting as opposed to, oh my God, this is dull. This isn't working. Let me try to sharpen it. And now I'm spending half the time in between sharpening and making happen.
Mm-hmm.
You had took it as, okay, I need to take this seriously. I need to get my schedule in order. I need to see the value of time and start making the moves. That's huge. A lot of people won't. So that probably explains why you expanded as fast as you did too. Because you did the foundational work first as opposed to all that trying to do it backwards.
Absolutely. Definitely building a good foundation and a momentum. I mean, you guys, in listening to your prior podcast, you guys are well aware of this, that like, once you have momentum, it makes it so much easier to show up the next day, right? It's so much less effort to show up.
Yeah.
That's all. And that's half the battle is showing up, right?
Yeah. You're a good reminder that I have to stop the multitasking. It's the only way I'm getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Sunday's the first day in like almost a month that I don't have an alarm. It's my Mother's Day. The gift is that I'll probably wake up at 6 in the morning naturally, but waking up naturally is better than getting ripped out of sleep by the alarm, which has been every day for a long time now. And it's true, like you feel like you can keep going, but then something has to give. It's generally our health first, right? That tanks. Or then it's not like we can just stop parenting, but you're like, let me pull it together even though I'm sick now with no energy. And, let's go to Target at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday because you want to hang out. This is what 17-year-old girls do. This is what I'm talking
yeah.
about. So,
Yeah.
the multitasking and just layering instead is a great lesson that I hope everyone, just like me, is like, you're right. I gotta pull it together and schedule, social media time for posting and for commenting and podcast planning, different things like that. And just really kind of put that all down on a piece of paper. But
yeah, well, and I think that's a natural tendency for all of us too, right? It's that, I can add this one more thing in and I can do this one more thing. And all of a sudden you find yourself scattered. And it just is so valuable to take that moment to pull back and say, okay, well, if I stack all of these to-dos together over here when I have that hat on, it's going to take so much less energy than if I try to take a personal call while I'm in between business meetings and then do my grocery shopping and then, pick up something for the business, right? It's that like transition from mom hat to business hat to practitioner hat that really taxes you.
Yes. Yeah, so it's almost funny too because I was recently just reading again the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and they talk about quadrant 2 living, and the best way to plan a week is just obviously listing out your roles because most of us don't realize, like you said, we wear multiple hats. Like you're a mom, you're a business owner, you're there's probably other things that you're involved with, and then once all the roles are laid out, then picking what do I want to accomplish this week within that role. And then so that way, even though you're layering it all out through the week, you're at least knowing, okay, during this time, I'm going to be the best business owner handling this. And during this time, I'm going to do the mom stuff that I had down. I'm going to be, and like, so that's one way that obviously helps. But like I said, just the fact that you just mentioned that, that you have multiple roles that you have to play and you learn, I just need to be one role at one time, as opposed to doing the multiple hats, guys. Where to go?
Life feels like the Mad Hatter in Disneyland. You walk in and there's like 10,000 hats and put your name on it. Yeah. You're just like, I don't even know what you're wearing right now. Which one's mine? Like,
and that is the feeling that like,
it's not the thing. Like, just take a breath and don't have any more caffeine. Your heart's gonna explode. That kind of thing, right? So, yeah, it's you're right. The multitasking is. I'm glad you brought that up. That was really poignant amongst all the other things you've been talking about. Have been phenomenal today. So I'm really grateful again that you're here. I wanted to point out a few things. So Tim had body work done with you. And then I went to one of your massage therapists here in Danville, Claudia. And then 2 of my clients have gone to you as well. One, she wears too many hats. And I'm like, have you gone yet? How about now? Because at the end of the day, if all of us in our 40s to 50 somethings keep blaming all the aches and pains on perimenopause or menopause, we're just never going to go get the body work that we need. So it's like, she'll be there soon. But everyone's been really phenomenal. And I'll just speak for myself because they're not here to share their story. But I remember I went in, I worked out, and then about an hour and a half later, I went in, I was really hydrated and just did my best to relax because every time I get massage or an adjustment, everyone's like, relax. I'm like, I am relaxed. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you see that all the time. So I'm still alone and embarrassed. Like I'm the only one that does that. But I promised I would take a full day off from the gym. So it was on Tuesday. I took the Wednesday off and like parts of my body had been worked where you're like, oh yeah, there are muscles that aren't just the ball up here anymore. Like your whole body, my whole body felt different. Like my muscles felt more like butter and less like just old gristle. I don't know how to explain it because we work out hard and I work out hard in this gym. Like I always try to keep the intensity up so that I don't fall into the trap of saying I'm getting older and I'm slowing down. I want to go as long as I can go. So the work that the massage I had, I went in as like a deep tissue massage. You guys have other modalities that you'll add in depending on what we need. And so your massage therapists are very intuitive and like healing in that they're like, oh, well, this is tight because we're going to pec minor and then back here and the shoulder. Like they know how everything's connected. And I love that because not everybody has that understanding of the body and how things are connected and how it works, right? So do you spend a lot of time with your massage therapist just making sure that they understand, or do they only come to you with that innate understanding, or do you do continued education with them? They're phenomenal.
Yeah, well, we're lucky. We have both ends of the spectrum. So again, having started the practice as a teacher and bringing students into the practice, one of the things I realized at that time was how much I enjoyed mentoring more than actually being in the classroom. Like, it's funny, being in a massage classroom, you would think like everybody really wants to go into this as a career. Not everybody does. A lot of the people in the class are learning for their own selves, right? They've had their own things throughout their health journey and want to learn more about how this might be able to help them. And it's just a hobby. Other people, yeah, it's just that it's a hobby and they've always been curious and they just kind of want to take a class, but it's not something they want to pursue as a career. And I felt like I had really established a way of being able to build a valuable practice and creating a practice that would support you instead of you having to support it, which often happens with massage therapists.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really wanted to mentor. And so we do have a mentoring program where people that are either still in school or recently graduated can come in and work with us, and we partner them up with somebody. A mentor has to have been in the field for at least 3 years. They have to have 1 year with us, continuing education in an arena that the person wants to learn about. And then we have a standard process where they meet once, establish a goal, and then they have 3 meetings in between to maintain track of that goal and how they're doing with it. And then once they finish it up, then the mentee gets to review the mentor. I get the review sheet and they get a bonus. And so that's how we help our mentees. And we also do continuing education reimbursement to encourage them to keep learning. And then, yeah, other than that, we have a lot of people that are dual certified and people that are just really experienced. And you asked about how I find people, and one of the first questions I ask people when I'm interviewing is, how do you keep yourself healthy? What are your activities, right? What do you enjoy, right? What are your hobbies that you go out and do when you're not working, right? Because it's funny, we team up our clients who call with the right therapist often by what their hobbies are, not what training is.
Really?
Yeah, it's because all of our therapists, we've had people that do trapeze, we've had people that do CrossFit, we've had people that one of our people is a running coach, another person, it does a lot of travel, and so we'll partner people up by what their background is, because whatever you do is what you know really well, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I am into equestrian hobbies, I know what it's like to get off of a horse and to be training in a stable all day. So we team people up a lot like that.
So cool. It's obviously probably that takes time, I'm sure, but the fact you've been able to pull it off and the fact that you see the value in that's a very big deal, because that's the extra work. Like knowing, like, okay, this is going to obviously help both of them be involved, because now we've already found a little bit of common ground. And so we could build off of that. That's huge as a business owner. Holy cow.
It keeps both of their cups full.
Yeah.
The therapist is enjoying themselves and having a good time, and they establish that rapport quickly. And the rapport, as I'm sure you guys are aware of, and you have it in your own practice here, is that connection is what it's all about. That's what keeps people coming back. It's what keeps people engaged in this process, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is everything. It is. It's nice. You come in and to a crowded room here as a coach, or sometimes I just take the class and know everybody's name, how they do, and how the kids. They're happy to be here. I'm happy they're here. Happy to talk to them. It's a strong community, and the rapport really is everything. And from the CrossFit community standpoint, like, I know that when I tell my members about you, that they'll be taken care of for what they need, because you guys understand, like, sports and physical movement. And I think Claudia was the one that was in sports medicine at San Jose State.
Yeah, she was a
Yeah.
personal trainer.
Yeah.
She's dual certified.
Yeah. So that was the closest I've been to seeing Jesus. I was going to the light because she was working on my quad, like literally, like, and I mean, my quads are not small. So she was like, and I was like, this is so necessary, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna make it. And then it was the best thing that ever happened because I told her to go hard. Like, I was like, I'm not worried. I mean, after an emergency C-section, I feel like anything after that is like not pain, but that was necessary to do that. And my quads, then, I come in and gain more strength, hit more PRs, like body's working better as it's getting older, because that's the kind of care that my body needs for how I play in this gym. Right. And so I love that I have a place where I'm pretty sure you could find anyone who's available for the time you're available, and it's going to be a great fit. Like, read the bios, do whatever, da da da. And like I said, for our members that have been there, our personal training clients, whomever they go with, they're really happy and really feeling great. And they're not, the things that have been nagging them for a while are like gone. And that's huge, because I don't want people to come in here or play any sport and think that, oh, I love pickleball, but my wrist always hurt or my elbow always hurts or whatever, right? It's because of that. Is it? Or is it because nobody ever takes the time to warm up and cool down like they should, get the body work that they need? And we do need it. I really wish that I could express to everyone, like, give up coffee for a month and then go buy your massage.
Totally. And you bring up an important point. One of the things that we love to train our therapists and clients both is that there's a difference between like productive intensity, right? So like you were saying, like you saw the light and it was intense. So you can have intensity and you can have something that like a sensation that it's a lot, but it's productive. There's a big difference between your body fighting something and building resistance to it and reinforcing an injury versus something that's like, there's space that needs to be here that isn't here right now, and how do we make that happen? Right. So that's a lot of what we're doing at Loosen Up, is really just helping people. I call it, we're creating space, right? Your nerve, your circulatory system, your skin, your joint, all of it requires space for the fluid to kind of get in and out, and for everything to maintain its optimal function. So when something gets overused or gets overpounded, or we have scar tissue and restriction, it's locked up and the fluid is blocked, right? So as soon as you can create that room, and now blood can come in and out, you can deliver the building blocks so that tissue can repair, flush out metabolic waste so that it's not just sitting there incinerating on itself, right? Like that's essentially what we're trying to accomplish, and how we go about it.
Yeah, I love it. You're so smart. I love everything about you. I can just listen to you all day.
It's mutual.
Let her just talk all day. I love this. No, it's amazing.
I'm already done with the script.
I know, right?
That I want to talk about. So let's just dive on it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, so I put you in our newsletter last month. I'll put you in again in June. So, every few months put in, because I do want everyone to know, and I do talk about you all the time. So I'm like fangirling about you and Loosen Up Body at work. But tell our viewers, like, if they want to, they're watching this, they're like, oh my God, I want to, tell me where to go now. Like, would you rather them just go to the website, pick their location, and just start looking at the...
Yeah, so it really depends on the background, right? So we see people, I tell people, if you can't go to a day spa and get the massage that you're looking for, we're probably the one that you're looking for. That could be complicated health histories. That could be somebody that's post-oncology treatment. It could be someone who has an autoimmune dysfunction that is, they're frail, and you can't push them too hard too fast, because you'll end up backpedaling. So I tell people, if they have questions, our front desk is very, very informed. Our website has a ton of information on what does oncology work look like, what does post-surgical work look like, what is lymphatic drainage, all these specialty services that we offer. But our front desk staff is phenomenal. They've all been with me for a very long time and are very, very well educated in all these techniques. And if they can't answer it for you, they're happy to say, I don't know, and pass along your contact info to one of us. So we always want to make sure that we're putting somebody with the right person. But we do have introductory offers and, gift cards and different ways to make it accessible and more affordable for people that want to do regular care.
Yeah.
So yeah, if people have any questions about that, again, that's up on the website. You can book directly from the website. You can book from our app. We try to make it as accessible as possible, and be prepared for a quick 5-minute intake when you come in so that we can get a little bit of information about how to provide a safe massage for you. But I tell all of our therapists and our clients too that a quiet treatment room is not a productive one. So we are going to be asking a lot of questions, asking for feedback, asking how your body is responding to the work so that we can make adjustments for what's appropriate in that moment. And it's not like you sign up for a deep tissue and you're getting deep tissue, right? Like
you're good, but you need. We're gonna keep talking. It's just like yeah. I love that. And it's funny. Like the things that need to be done were incredible, and 24 hours later, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm 20 again. It's really great. My body was just so wrecked because, again, making time for myself like falls to the wayside because new business, teenager. Just cooking.
Yeah,
cats are cute too. I like to hang out with them.
I do want to hear about this 2-hour a week cooking thing for the whole family. I'm like,
oh yeah, definitely. I should literally. I had actually. So, fun fact: I had Hashimoto's autoimmune disease, and Kaiser was like, "You can never get rid of that. You're going to be on medication forever." And I was like, "Challenge accepted."
Yeah.
So 9 months of strict autoimmune paleo, which is paleo minus nightshades and nuts, which is a really hard paleo, gone, and it's never been back. No IgG in the blood. I mean, my thyroid's been fine. I've always sounded scratchy since I was a young kid, so this is not that my thyroid is bad that I sound like this, but it was just sort of like I was starting a cookbook back then, and I had a website like an AIP community for autoimmune paleo community because there was not much, and there's still not much out there because there's still this mindset here that kind of sucks. You're going to be on medication until that kills your liver and you're dead, because that's really what it is. So, to the point of you saying we massage people and treat them differently with autoimmune, post-cancer treatment, surgery, amazing. Like a lot of people just think of massage, and it's very specific to you because you could take someone. And then for those with autoimmune issues or those of us that want to cook in 2 hours, I should just finish the cookbook because it really, and how to do it and like make some videos on that. Because truly, if I fire up the grill, I'll make like 8 grass-fed patties and then take that off and then do like the 3-pack of chicken thighs that are organic and a frittata that's easy for breakfast. And it's all happening within like an hour and a half simultaneously. Because for me, the kitchen is like therapeutic. I love
for sure.
I even like sing to the cats when I serve them the wet food.
Oh, I love it.
I clink the bowls together and I have a little song, which I'm never going to sing out loud unless you're like that. But I do. I love cooking. I love serving people, hosting things. I love all of that. But I think if we all just, if we buckle down and become really efficient in the kitchen, you could go every few weeks to get a massage with you because you gained all that time back.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? These are the things that I look at in life. It's like, how do I simplify and simmer things down to be less feeling like work and just more productive time that benefits everyone's health, and then have some time for me to get in for the body work I need, or like today, covering up the grays. I'm Italian. I have 2 brows again, so I got them waxed today. These are the things, right? Like I want to have a little bit of like living inside of this wonderful chaotic world of just. So it's a beautiful thing, like you wouldn't trade it for anything. Helping people and like tightness, like you're changing a life, you're saving a life, you're making something incredible for another human, and it's so rewarding. But we must never lose ourselves in that. So.
Exactly. Well, but yeah, it becomes self-feeding too, right? It's that like it fills your cup too to serve others, and as long as we just don't let that scale tip too far in either direction, we're good.
The balance is everything.
So I was going to give you an opportunity to add a little bit of value. Let's just say someone has got this their first time getting some body work done. I've been told all kinds of things every time I've done. I've been told after I should hydrate, not move a lot, or you should go maybe walk, and then certain things. What is the best protocol to do once you've had, let's say, an hour-long body work session? What's the best thing that the person can do to get the best out of the service?
Yeah, it does depend on the type of body work that we're doing. In general, it's funny, the drinking water thing. I feel like that has been so repeated and is so just overdone because people don't provide the value behind why I should go drink water. It's, people just say, "Oh, you should hydrate," right?
Yeah.
But I tell people when we are doing a massage, we are flushing metabolic waste out. We are making little micro tears in the tissue to bring more blood flow in. That's why you're usually tender and sore afterwards. And the whole goal is circulation, right? So the more blood volume we have, the better our circulation works. And if you go out and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine afterwards, all that water's good. I say you need at least 2 glasses of water for every cup of coffee or glass of wine that you have. And then some when the goal is circulation, right? And just gentle movement. Don't do anything high impact after after a massage. You want to do just go for a walk, go for a swim, tai chi, like keep moving, keep that fluid dynamic like happening. That's what happens when we move, right? As fluid comes in and goes out. So a little minor cardio work afterwards is great.
Okay, I love that. And then one more tip, and this would be more for our specific audience. Let's say you're a person who's doing CrossFit about 4 to 5 days a week. How often should you honestly be making time for the body work?
Yeah, I always love this question too, because again, it depends, right? If you're coming in and you're doing your CrossFit and you're doing your warm ups, you're doing your cool downs, you're doing your mobility, you're using their lacrosse ball, you're drinking enough water and getting enough rest, you're probably going to be pretty good. I mean, you may maintain very well with a massage once a month. Right now, if you aren't very good about drinking your water, if you do pack your bag and leave before you've done the stretching and cool down, you're probably going to need one a little bit sooner. So I tell all of our clients, my goal is for you to not have to see me, even though I love to see you. If you're doing all the things right, great. When life gets busy and you're not able to do that, then we're here for you.
And then, do you have more questions?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. All right. Last one.
I love it.
Then I will let it go. But 10 years out, where's the business? Where are you? Is there any goals that you have right now and expanding out even more?
Yeah, we're so rooted in the education and the empowerment aspects of what we do. And that is really where I see Loosen Up in the future and where we're investing a lot of our time and energy is really dialing in our training that we do with our team and making that available to even people outside of Loosen Up. And that really is multi-tier because it's not just training the therapists, it's also training your client. I feel like so much of what we do is give our clients the vocabulary that they need to be able to identify what's happening in their own body and what those feelings are.
Yeah.
It's not just pain. Pain is a very vague word. Is it lack of range of motion? Is it stiff? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it, what are the things that can be happening in your tissue and what those are indicators of, and helping people understand what that means so that they can be more empowered to take care of themselves at home and know how to manage things before they become a problem.
That makes perfect sense. Very, very cool. This has been a very great conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I've enjoyed it as well. And I'm happy to have found your guys' podcast so I can stay tuned and see what you guys are up to as well.
Staying consistent with everything we do. Once a week podcasts and daily workouts. It's good. Keeps going.
No kidding.
Good stuff. Well, I'm glad you had time for us because I know you're busy and you're out there doing great things. I can't thank you enough for your dedication to the education of others too. And I love what you said about those of us who come in as patients, the body awareness that I wish we all had. Like my client will come in and be like, "Hey, I sneezed and my subscapular," like they start talking in the terms you're like, we know exactly what to do now. But a lot of people can't, express that. So you're doing so much for the therapists and then the patients as well. And I love that. I mean, these are the good things that we want to see all the time, right? Just really empowering people, taking care of them when they need it, always being there. They know that like, hey, it's been 5.5 weeks, but today's the day. And then they go online or call in, they can get in. It's like, it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for all your hard work and dedication and for life, the start of life to 14 and the change there, and then everything in between has just made for you being this like larger than life, incredible human that I'm very blessed and thankful to know. So thank you so much for your time today
Yeah,
on the
thank you.
podcast, sharing all these great things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having a platform for us to share.
Yeah, it's good times.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up with another episode of Keeping It Real with TNL. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, leave them down below. That's all we have for you. Keep it classy, San Ramon.